talk to the buyers, I talk to the customers, try to sell cattle, and then I, also go with these customers what they want to process their cattle with and so forth.
You ready? My name's Jimmy King. My job position is cattle clerk, and I purchase and invoice out all the cattle that we move through this company, and I pay the buyers and the salesmen.
I'm David Phelps. I'm employed by Thick Pen Trucking here in Shelton, Texas. I dispatch my 25 trucks on a daily basis, and my job is mainly to get cattle from our sale barns to our yard here to be processed to customers. Also get them from here to the feed yards where the customer likes them to go. And it's a 7-day-a-week job, and I've been here a long time, and it's a good company to work for.
Hello, my name is Lynn James. I've worked here for 30 years or more, over 30 years. I'm in charge of the banking, the accounts payable, the accounts receivable. I do all the cattle contracts, and then I pay for the cattle when they deliver back in.
My name is Steve Childry. I'm employed here at Thick Pen Livestock Company. I've been here for 49 years. My job title has consisted of a lot of things through the years, from sorting the cattle to running the chute, processing, and then as things went on, become a salesman and selling cattle. Tend to the order buying side as far as producing the cattle with the weight and the money to a customer, being able to tell them what it costs to process an animal, as in what type of vaccine is usually used, what cost usually relatively back to the vaccine that they would want. Just my duty in more or less kind of a foreman, oversee the employees. At one time we had 30 employees outside. It's kind of decreased with the amount of the cattle herd all the way through. But just daily activities, some days are busier than others. But overall in the cattle business, you've got to learn what an animal, the value of one is. You've got to learn what it takes to deliver to a person. If a gentleman calls in and he's 200 miles from home, or he's 650 miles from home, what these people are looking at is, what does this animal cost delivered to me? They're not irrelevant about what the calf cost in a ring. They want to know what is there. So there's lots of guidelines that you have to go through the years in learning that, and you don't have an hour to look up all the information. You've got to use a lot of common sense, and you got to remember what your freight rate is. You've got to learn to get it all in hand, and quoting one to an animal, quoting an animal to a person. It ain't like you have a lumber yard and you know what the 2x4 cost and you know what it's going to be. Cattle is different. The market changes day by day, and you've got to be able to tell the customer what's changing, what's going on. I've dispatched the trucks before. There's not hardly anything I haven't done here except I've not learned how to run a computer, because if I had of, I'd have to do everybody's job. Other than that, like I said, I've been here since 1971. I graduated out of high school in 1970, and all I've ever done in as far as a work ethic is all I've done is work cattle all my life. Since I was 13, it's hard work. The outside environment is harsh. It's either hot, cold, wet, dusty. There's a lot of things that go with it, but it's the way you learn things is to do it firsthand, and you'll learn by your mistakes, and that makes, I think, a person do better in any job, whether you're a tire salesman, an automobile salesman, or whatever you're doing. You're gonna make mistakes. A working person will make mistakes. One that don't make mistakes is one that's not doing nothing. The main thing you also have to do in life is remember what mistake you made to where you don't do it again, and always be honest to your employer and what you do. But as far as here, we've handled as many as 500,000 cattle a year, and there's a lot that goes on, and it takes getting along with your fellow workers to make a day go by.
My name is Roy Smith. I'm Vice President, Safety Director for Thick Pen Trucking. Part of my job here is hard to make sure the trucks are in compliance with the law, weight-wise, compliance-wise as far as all the permits and good working condition. I help with the dispatch, queuing in the freight, and disciplining the drivers. We try to make sure the customer gets a good load without overloading the trucks, and drivers take care of the cattle, get the sale barn cattle in on time, get the cattle to the feedlots on time.
Hey y'all, my name is Claire Lloyd, and I'm going to be telling y'all about some of the tasks I completed at Thick Pen Livestock Company. So some of the day-to-day things that I was able to get my hands on, learn, and get some educational knowledge from was filing away customer invoices. These invoices had the amount of cattle that they had bought, the price of it, who it was for, and where it was going. The next thing on the list was I opened up the mail. I opened up all the mail that we had, and I sorted out the bills that needed to be paid. So I made sure that we created checks that were for the right amount, made sure that the bills were paid in time, and that also they were going to the correct place that they needed to go. The next thing I did was I cleaned out old file from workers past 8 years ago. We kept everything from 2012 till now, but everything behind that we had to get rid of. So I went through and I had to figure out who was not with us anymore and clean out their files. The next thing I did was I created new filing folders, and we rearranged our filing cabinets. We made it easier to find stuff, created labels, so it was more helpful for anyone who could just simply go in there and find what they needed in no time. The next thing I did was I reconciled checks. This is where if we had checks that went voided, or we just went through our banking system and made sure that the checks had the right amount, and I went behind and made sure that they were all good. And then the thing that I always did in the morning was I purchased and mailed out invoices of cattle that our buyers had went and wanted to get. We went to sales 6 days a week, so we were always busy putting in our cattle numbers. And Thick Pen had created their own data system that helped them do this. So when I went in, I had to state the sale barn we attended, who was the buyer for that, and then I went in, I put the number of cattle we got, the weight of them, and then the price. So I had to go through and look through the sale barn recaps, made sure I did all that completely. Once I had finished that, I went through and I made the checks for all the sale barns. I had to make sure that they matched with what I had at the end. I had to pay the buyers' commissions, the people who went and bought our cattle for us. And then at the end, I took all of the checks and I mailed them out, and I made sure they were great. And these are just some of the things that I did at the cattle company. Some lessons learned at the cattle company is that it's okay to make mistakes. This is how you learn to do your task or your job. I was always afraid I was gonna mess up, but once I did, it wasn't a big deal and I could learn from it. And so next time I could just go through my job easier or help anyone else out who needed it. Another thing was don't be afraid to ask questions. Sometimes I would feel really bad for asking too many questions, but the more you ask questions, the more it shows that you care and that you want to do well on your job, and it's never a bad thing to ask or have anyone help you. Another thing, you must work very hard in any job you do. You're not going to be put up at the very top. You must work from the bottom. So I have completed jobs that no one has probably wanted to do, but that was fine with me. I got more education, learned from it, and you have to start somewhere to move up to be someone. The next thing is that nothing in life comes easy. Just like Corona, it showed me how quickly the world can change, and you must be able to accept the new changes and give it your absolute best. I was very grateful that Thick Pen kept me on during this time, and we still had work to do for me and also for our customers, and we made sure that was fulfilled, and I'll be forever grateful that they kept me on.